guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a channeled conversation that I had with the one, the only Santa Claus. Now, after my spiritual awakening in 2018, I started to develop these weird abilities and I didn't understand what was really happening to me, but I started astral projecting and I started crossing ghosts over to the other side. It was wild, just one thing after another. And one of the abilities that I discovered that I had was channeling, right? So I was able to connect with certain energies, and one of which is Jesus. And I made a video on that if you want to watch that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I channeled Santa Claus. Never in a million years did I ever think that that would be something that I'd ever say, especially as an adult. But here we are. And so this video is just me sharing with you about the time that I had a conversation with Saint Nick. Please keep in mind, all of this information is channeled, right? So it was through meditation. And so it's not really anything that I've looked up. So I can't tell you if anything is of historical significance or accuracy. So you'll just have to take it or leave it. By the way, my name is Catherine. I'm an energy healer, spiritual coach, and nurse practitioner. If you want to work with me, you can go to my website at catherineglassman.com, or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. So let's start from the beginning, okay? We'll go to my pre-awakening life. Before my awakening, I've lived a pretty unconscious life for the most part. I had childhood trauma, and because of that trauma, I just developed into an adult that struggled with addiction and depression and anxiety and just a whole slew of things. Now, when it comes to the holidays or Christmas, I had to say that for a long time, I didn't like Christmas. The reason why is because I had a lot of painful memories that were linked to Christmas. There was a lot of trauma that happened around the holidays. And also, I was the youngest in the family. I have two older siblings and they're 12 and 10 years older than me. So I was definitely the baby and a bit of an outcast, even just by my age. So anytime Christmas came around and I received a gift. This was when I was younger. I would always get called spoiled, and this happened every year. And I think over time, subconsciously, it created this weird thing inside of me where I had a difficult time receiving gifts. So as an adult, I just became very uncomfortable, and it made me a little anxious to receive gifts from people. And to try to compensate for that, I would try to get an even better and greater gift for the other person. So there was just a lot of anxiety around gift giving and gift receiving. I just felt way more comfortable giving gifts and not receiving anything. So not the healthiest dynamic, but this is just kind of what I grew up to be. And then that kind of turned into just this weird resentment around Christmas. And I kind of just turned into somebody who didn't understand the point of Christmas. I felt like it was very commercialized, and it was a lot of it was about greed, and it was just a holiday I really didn't enjoy. Not to mention, I also struggled with feeling agnostic and sometimes atheist, so then I really didn't understand why I was celebrating Christmas. And so then I had my awakening, and I still didn't really have any feelings towards Christmas, whether they were positive or negative. It was just kind of another holiday for me. And one of my coworkers, we were in the ER, and she was asking everybody if they put their tree up. And so everyone's like, yep, we got our tree up. And they're talking about their tree. And she came to me and I was like, no, I don't have a tree up. And she was like, well, why not? And I was like, I don't know. I just, and I didn't really know what to say. Like, I knew how I felt, but I didn't want to make her uncomfortable or make other people feel bad. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to ruin it for other people, but I also just didn't care about it. So there were years where I just didn't put a tree up and I wouldn't decorate because it was just another day. And I could tell that when I started to talk about it with her, this look came over her face. Like, she just felt so bad for me. And then it made me feel bad. And I was like, okay, is there something wrong with me that I don't like Christmas? So I went home that day and I was thinking about it, and my feelings are a little hurt, whatever. And I decided to just put it out there. And I kind of meditated for a little bit, not too long. And I said, all right, whatever my issue is with Christmas, I want to heal it. I want to heal my issues with Christmas. And I think my exact words were, I don't want to have beef with Christmas anymore. And then that was that. A few days later, I was going grocery shopping. And when I go grocery shopping, I make a list, and there are 3 grocery stores I go to because they all have different things and whatever. So I go to the first grocery store, and on my way there, I just started to feel really joyful and just upbeat. And I wanted to listen to Christmas music. This is very unlike me, okay? Before, I couldn't stand Christmas music. I did not want to hear it at all. It just got repetitive and it was annoying, and I was very much a Grinch about it. But I just started playing Christmas music. I literally went on Spotify and found a Christmas playlist and I started playing it. And I'm singing along to like Mariah Carey, and it was weird. It was very unlike me, but I was getting in the Christmas spirit. So I go to the grocery store and I do my shopping and I go to check out and I'm using my debit card. And I swipe my debit card and it asks if I want to take out money. And I heard the word take money out. Now, when this happens, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I've learned to just not question it. I would question it before, and sometimes I would argue against it, but now I've learned that I just shouldn't do that. So I looked at the dollar amounts and I hit $20 and I took $20 out. And so I took the $20 bill and I'm folding it, right? I fold it once and then I folded it again and I fold it perfectly. And while I'm doing it, I'm just thinking about what's going to happen because I'm getting excited now because when this happens, it's going to lead me to something and it's going to be fun. And so I'm just folding it up and I fold it up very perfectly and I put it in my wallet, and that was that. So I go to the next grocery store and I'm thinking about the $20. I'm like, ooh, what are we gonna do? What am I gonna buy, right? And so go to the next grocery store and I park and I start walking up, and in front of the store is a woman with a Salvation Army bucket to collect money, and she's ringing the bell. And as I get closer to her, once I see her, I hear, put the money in. Now, I'll be completely honest. When they said to put the money in, my immediate human ego reaction was $20. I was like, the whole $20? And I immediately was embarrassed by my reaction. And then I got the image of someone folding their arms and looking at me like, really? And so I immediately apologized for the reaction. I was like, okay, you're right. I can part with $20. They can have it. So I took the $20 out and I slip it in. And I noticed that when I put it in, I folded it so perfectly that it slipped right in. Okay. So that's how I knew that is where it was supposed to go. So I put it in and that was that. And I walk into the store. And as I'm walking into the store, I hear the voice again. And the voice goes, that felt good, didn't it? And I started to think to myself, like, yeah, that did feel really good. And so I'm in this weird upbeat mood. I just put $20 in the bucket. And for whatever reason, I want to like keep giving. So I turn around and I look at the lady who's collecting the money, and I noticed that she didn't have any gloves. And this day was really cold and windy. And so I was going to try to find her gloves. Well, I'm in a grocery store and there are no gloves, but there is a Starbucks. So I went and got 2 hot chocolates and I gave her 1 hot chocolate and I said, Merry Christmas. And that was that. And just left. I get back into my car and now I'm on a roll. Like, there's no stopping me now. So I go to Sam's Club and I don't know how much I spent. I want to say probably between $200 or $300 on clothes, like a bunch of sweaters, sweatpants, socks, gloves. I just bought a bunch of stuff. I took ribbon and I started packaging them together. And then I went to downtown and I started passing them out to the homeless. Okay. I've never done this before. I've donated money. I make it a point to donate money every month, but I've never done this before. Like, I'm going for it. And it just feels really good. I'm blasting Christmas music. I'm just giving stuff away. Like, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I pass out all the things and then I'm done. And I drive home. I come home and I walk in and I'm like, what is my deal? This is not me. Usually I can't stand Christmas music. Like, I do not want to put up a tree. Oh yeah, that's what I started doing. I started decorating. So I started putting up a tree. I was really in the Christmas spirit, okay? And so when I was done, I decided to meditate on it because I needed answers. So I sit down and I meditate and I was like, what is going on? What is my deal? And I heard a laugh. And the laugh was a very deep laugh and it sounded like okay. And then I saw the color red. And right when I saw the color red, I was like, no, that's not him. Right? And I was like overcome with this energy of like warmth, like a big, jolly, warmth, generous energy that just like came over me like a huge like blanket. And I said out loud, Santa, is that you? And I heard the laugh again. And I was like, okay, this can't be happening. I was not prepared for this. When I channel energies now, I'm usually fairly prepared. So I'll have like a notebook and I'll have a series of questions that I want to ask, and it'll be like an interview. I was not prepared for this at all. So I quickly got like a notebook and I just started asking random questions. And I didn't ask very many because I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I just started asking questions. So the first question I asked was more of like a test. And I was like, okay, if this is Santa Claus, then what would you prefer to be called? And he was like, you can call me St. Nicholas. And I was like, all right, if you're really Santa, then what does Santa mean? And he was like, Saint. And I was like, you mean as in Saint Nick? And he's like, yeah. So I stopped the channeling, stopped the interview, and I go Google it. What does Santa Claus mean? And sure enough, it means Saint Nick. Okay, I guess that checks out. So I keep asking him questions. I'm like, okay, now I believe that I'm actually channeling Saint Nicholas at this point, because you can, how do I explain this? When you channel energies, it's more than just hearing voices or getting visions. It's all of that simultaneously while also feeling their energy. And the fact that I was feeling so joyful and listening to Christmas, like that was so unlike me, but for whatever reason, I was in that mood. And so now I know that I really was channeling him, right? And so I started asking like questions, not in a testing way now, but I just started asking questions. And I was like, okay, St. Nicholas, I would like to know, what is the true meaning of Christmas? And the one word that came across my head was the word generosity. And I questioned him. I was like, well, I was always under the impression that Christmas was all about family. And he was like, well, consider being generous towards other people and to other strangers. And he was like, you know, those strangers are your family, but Christmas really is about giving, especially giving to those who are a little bit less fortunate than you. And I was like, okay, well then why do we say that it's Jesus Christ's birthday? Like, how does Jesus Christ tie into this? Is it really his birthday? And he said, his birth date is irrelevant. What matters is the gift that he brought to the world by being born on this earth. And so, okay, I've channeled Jesus, and he is just the epitome of unconditional love and compassion. And when I started like going over memories of my channeling with Jesus, Santa kind of chimed in and was like, can you think of a better gift to give to the world than unconditional love? And I was like, okay, you got me there. That's pretty good. So at this point, I'm starting to have a little bit of an emotional reaction, right? Like, wow, this is so beautiful. I'm giving you just kind of the cliff notes of the conversation, but truly, it was actually a very magical experience. I'm literally speaking to St. Nicholas, like Santa, okay? And I can feel that it's him. And then I start to feel kind of bad, like, dang, you're kind of the real deal. And I sort of just abandoned Christmas. And while I'm having these thoughts, I'm not actually saying it to him. I'm just kind of thinking them privately, or at least I thought that it was a private thought. And he was like, you know, I've been working magic in your life for a very long time. You didn't always have bad memories of Christmas. And then immediately I get sent back to a memory that I had of one particular Christmas. And I'm going to try not to cry. So one Christmas, I think I was like 6 or 7. You know, my parents, they decorated and we had the Christmas tree up and everything. And for some reason I slept on the couch that night, like by the Christmas tree. And so I was sleeping and I woke up and Santa Claus was there. Santa Claus just walked in the front door and he placed some gifts underneath the tree and he looked at me and he just did one of these and said bye and then left. And the next day I opened the gift and it was a hamster, and it was a white hamster with red eyes. And I was so excited. I was telling everybody. I told my parents, I told my sisters. I was just so excited. Like Santa just gave me a gift and I saw him. Okay. So that same day on Christmas, my Uncle Bobby came over. Now, we're not actually related, but he was a close family friend and I loved him dearly. Like he was just such a great man. He came over to the house, and Uncle Bobby, he was a big guy. Okay. He had a belly, right? Big guy. And he came in and I was like, Uncle Bobby, you are not going to believe what happened. And I told him the story and I was like, and you're not going to believe what he got me. And he leans in and he's like, did he get you a hamster that's white with red eyes. And I was like, how did you know? Okay, so for the longest time, I was like, how did he know? That's so crazy. Obviously, years later, I learned that Uncle Bobby was the one who dressed up as Santa and brought me my hamster. Okay, it was one of the most fond memories I've had of him before he died. And he died when I was like 8 or 9. Okay, it was a very sad, sad day for me. And so, fast forward to like my post awakening, I was starting to learn that I had like these weird abilities and I'm trying to understand what they are. And so I found some like a Reiki and psychic center and I started like taking classes. And one of the exercises during one of these classes was to put the name of a departed loved one that you wanted to connect with. And everyone would take that and put it in a hat. And then we would all pick one out. And then we would just try to channel whoever we got. Okay, so I got someone's pet and I did a pretty good job, right? So whatever. So I put Uncle Bobby's name in this hat. And the girl who got the paper came over to me and she was like, so you put Uncle Bobby, right? I was like, yeah. She's like, I can't get anything except Santa Claus. And I was like, yeah, that's him. So sometimes when I think of Uncle Bobby, I think of Santa and vice versa. So during that first conversation, I was like, thank you, Santa. That's actually so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I was like, is there anything else that you want me to know? And he was like, well, if you could actually do me a favor and share this message, I would really appreciate that. And he was like, I know that you get a little nervous about putting yourself out there and sharing this kind of information. He's like, but I just want you to let go of any potential judgment that someone might have on you because there are going to be people out there that are going to need this message. And I was like, okay, Santa, I can do that. And I thanked him again. And all he said was, Merry Christmas, Catherine. So since then, I have definitely taken on a whole new meaning of Christmas. And I'm so grateful. So in preparation for this video, I decided to see if I could channel him again. And just like with people, energies and entities and deities and things like that, they can choose to not interact with you. So just because I try to call on them doesn't mean that I'm going to get an answer. So I sat down and I tried calling on him and I saw red again. And instead of hearing a laugh, I just saw a small like Santa Claus and reindeer like flying around my head. And I was like, okay, I think he's here. And so I started asking questions and I was like, Santa, how do I describe your energy? Like if somebody wants to connect with you, how do I describe like what you feel like? And he immediately took me to a scene from A Christmas Carol. Okay. And I don't remember which one I saw, but there is a scene where there is the ghost of Christmas Present. And it's this big guy with a red beard. And I think he's wearing red as well. And he's got like a huge feast around him. And that's the image that he gave me. And I was like, that is so perfect. That is exactly how he feels. Just this big, like big energy, okay? Jolly, just always smiling and laughing. Like if you can always think about like that one friend at like a party or something, he's like the life of the party, just a big guy having a good time and making everyone laugh. Like that's Santa's energy, okay? And I was like, that's so fitting. And that guy actually kind of looks like Santa in the movie, right? So I decided to Google it today. Okay, I was today years old when I learned this. I Google it, and I think one of the questions was, what does the ghost of Christmas Present represent? And the answer was generosity. And I was like, oh my God, that's Santa. Why didn't I connect the dots before? Like, of course that's Santa. It looks like him, right? Maybe they were just kind of alluding to him being Santa, right? The ghost of Christmas Present. I don't know why I didn't figure that out before, but yeah. So he gave me that. So that's what his energy is like, okay? Just big, fun energy. And so I asked him today, and I was like, Santa, times are hard. People are struggling. Inflation is insane. Like, do you have like a message for everyone right now? everyone who just feels like they're struggling and losing hope. And this came in as a visual. And the visual was of children around Christmas, like around a Christmas tree, and they're opening presents. And he said, when a child believes in Santa Claus, they have a certain glow about them. They get really excited to make the cookies to leave out for Santa, and they want to listen for the reindeer, and they want to be good all year so that they can get really good gifts. Like they're excited. There's a magic that they believe in. And he was like, but when you tell a child that Santa isn't real and that it's really their parents getting them gifts, you see that glow change. The glow starts to dim, and it gets a little darker and darker after that. And he was like, this is what happens to adults who don't believe in a higher power. He said, usually adults sometimes will believe in something greater than them, something bigger than them. They have a glow. They have an energy. They have a magic in them because they know that something is there. But then you have those that don't. And their glow is a little bit dimmed out. And he says, I'm proving to you right now that I'm very real. He's like, you know that I'm real. And I was like, oh, I know you're real. He's like, the higher power, the creator, is very real. And that is your source of magic. And if you want that glow back, you have to start believing again. You have to have faith. And he said, in a way, I do represent the higher power in the sense of Christmas. Because when children are good and they do good in the world, they receive gifts. Just like when people do good in the world, they receive blessings from their creator. And he was like, and you know that this is not about punishing people or gifting people who do good. This is about receiving what you put out. So basically he's talking about the laws of karma. I was like, okay, I can share that. I was like, all right, Santa, well, if people want to connect with you, like, what should they do? And he was like, go give someone a gift. He's like, and it doesn't have to be an expensive gift. Like, it can be anything. He's like, but give it to someone who's not expecting it, and most certainly do not expect something in return. And he said, when you do this, I want you to infuse that gift with love and kindness and put a lot of your heart and energy into the gift before you give it to them. And then he was like, then I want you to pay attention to how you feel and see if you can feel me with you. And he was like, anybody who gets a little excited to go ice skating and decorate their home and watch Christmas movies, you're channeling me already. But he said, what's as equally important as being generous to others is to also be generous with yourself. He said, there are no rules about not getting a gift for yourself because you are part of the whole. And that when you have this energy in you of generosity towards others and also to yourself, then to continue to carry it with you throughout the entire year. And let Christmas just come around to remind you of that generous energy. And that was that. So that's my story of meeting Santa Claus and being so lucky to be able to channel him again this year. And I'm probably going to try to make it a habit of doing it every year because he's great. I'm actually going to go watch A Christmas Carol now. And I encourage you to do the same. Even if you're not Christian or, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, it's not even about whether you celebrate that holiday because of your religion or not. It's about the generosity energy. So with that being said, I, Catherine Glassman, an adult woman, am here to say that I 100% believe in Santa Claus. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time. Merry Christmas.